Hello, Mark K with Creating Change LLC. I want to talk to you today about two very easy things you can do. These are foundational health tips. They will have a profound effect on your well-being. We're talking hydration and stretching. This video, we're going to talk about hydration, and I'll do another one to break down the basics of how to stretch properly. So I know we've heard this many times, but for some reason, a lot of us, we still have a challenge implementing these healthy choices into our schedules, which is the reason for this video. I want to hopefully give you some more information on the subject matter, and at the end, throw in some tips that perhaps help with that implementation. So let's break down the whole hydration thing. Obviously, we're talking about water, H2O. Now, next to O2, oxygen, H2O is the most important element you can put into your body. If you go 3 days, approximately 3 days, without it, you cease to exist. Let me say that again, because I think a lot of us, we tend to take that gravity of that for granted. If we go 3 days without any water, you will die. At least your body will. So it's pretty important. Most of us are walking around in a chronic dehydrated state, and we just don't know. I've heard it said a few times that, no, we're okay. Your body tells you when you're thirsty, that's when you drink. Well, I believe that when you get that signal that you're thirsty, that's your body saying, put water in me now or I'm going to drop. So what I'm saying is you're beyond dehydrated. Our bodies are made of about 60 to 70% water. I mean, we're water up to here. Our brain and our heart's about 73% water. Lungs, 80%. Muscles, they're about 80%. Made up of 80% of water. So, I mean, the average body uses about a quarter water a day just for general operations, just to get through the day. We're not even walking, ladies and gentlemen. We're slushing around. We got so much fluid swirling around. And we tend to get used to the symptoms of dehydration, the stiffness, achiness, sluggish, brain fog. Those are all symptoms of dehydration. So how much water should we be drinking? I believe the recommendation these days is 6 to 8 glasses. And depending on how much you weigh, that might be adequate. However, the experts, the hydration pros, they say we should be drinking approximately half our body weight in ounces a day. Now, for most of us, that's quite a bit of water. I believe it's a really good gauge, though, to see where you're at on your daily intake. So let's say you're doing 8 glasses. And generally speaking, when I talk to my clients about their hydration and I ask, how are you drinking water? No, yeah, I'm drinking water. Well, how much are you drinking? About 4 or 5 glasses. I usually say, well, that's pretty good, but you can do better. Let's say you're doing 8 glasses. Average glass is 8 ounces. So 8 eighths, 64. Okay, so you're at 64 ounces. Now, if you go by the gauge of the professionals, that if you weighed 128 pounds, that would be an adequate amount of water. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that is not the average weight these days. I believe the average weight for us guys is around 190 to 200 pounds. Females is around 160 pounds. So with what the professionals say, the recommendation of 6 to 8 glasses may not be enough. Again, try to shoot for half your body weight in ounces. Now, I wouldn't recommend you going much more than that. You can't drink too much water. There is a term called drowning your kidneys. The kidneys are what processes the water. So if you're pounding so much water, the kidneys have to process that. That means the other functions that it does, and the kidneys does many functions, it can't do it, and there could be a shutdown. So you can drink too much water. I definitely want to make that point. So going by that gauge of half your body weight in ounces a day is a pretty good gauge, I think. Personally, I try to get as close to that as possible. Now, we also get water from fruits and vegetables. Some have more water than others. For example, grapes, cucumber, celery, watermelon. Hello. These are all fruits that have a high content of water. watermelon, I think, has like 80% of it is water, maybe 80 to 90% of it is water. And some not so much. Some of the starchy fruits and vegetables like bananas, avocados, some potatoes. So you got to know if you're factoring in the water you're getting from fruits and vegetables, you got to know what the content is. But it's definitely a factor, and it's definitely a way to get water into your body. So let's talk about the different types of water. You know, not all water is the same. And nowadays we have a few choices. A few years ago, I was losing my mind trying to figure out what's the healthiest choice of water. And what I came up with was probably spring water. It's natural. It's really the water we're supposed to be drinking. Unfortunately, due to industry, most of the springs are contaminated and you just can't drink it. However, if you can find some filtered spring water, that might be a really good choice. Or if you have to be fortunate enough to live next to an uncontaminated spring and you can lug 5-gallon bottle glass to get the water and then bring it back home, that would probably be the ideal situation. That's not practical. So what do we have out there? Well, we have distilled. And distilled is basically, it's boiled down. There's no impurities. It's pure H2O. And in some cases, this is great. In some conditions, actually requires it. For example, if you're chronic kidney stones, because distilled water has very high negative charge, it actually draws minerals out of you. So in the case of kidney stones, it may actually benefit you. But the issue there is it can be also drawing out minerals that you would want to keep in your body. So I wouldn't recommend only drinking distilled water. Again, because of the negative charge, it's very high negative charge, you will basically pee out minerals, nutrients. So there are cases when distilled water is a good choice. And like I said, I wouldn't recommend drinking it all the time. Then there's purified water, which is not as negatively charged, but like distilled, it is high acid. Purified and distilled water are acidic, you know? So again, it's another thing to keep in account if you're drinking a lot of these waters. And then if you're also not eating foods that are alkaline, like fruits and vegetables, you're probably walking around with a acidic level in your pH. And you're starting to see a lot of alkaline water products out there, and this is good. It kind of combats the whole acidic level of the purified and distilled waters. However, they're pretty expensive. A good thing to do is with your purified or distilled is just add a lemon. The minerals from the lemon make the water alkaline, so it's very easy to produce alkaline water with the purified and distilled water. If you're fortunate enough to have a machine of filtering, we actually have one of these that alkalines your water. Beautiful. It's nice to have alkaline water available. You know, again, not all the time. We want to have the sweet spot when it comes to our pH, but sometimes we just don't get enough alkaline food into our body. So having alkaline water is another way to aid you to get to that neutral sweet spot in your pH levels. Filtering system, you can buy some pretty effective filter pitchers that clean out your water. They also have some alkaline filtering pitchers. Some of those are, do your research. Some of those work well, some of them don't. One thing I would like to suggest, I think this was probably one of the best investments we made for our family, was getting a whole house filtering system. The municipal tap water in our area and in most places in the country, and I know I've heard people say, oh, I grew up drinking tap water, I'm good. You're probably not. Okay, especially nowadays, there's so much stuff in the water. I'm not even going to get into it. You just go buy yourself a test. Test your water. Just the hardness alone is just something you don't want to be putting into your body or on your skin, for that matter, on a daily basis. Not to mention what it does to your pipes. But yeah, a whole house filtering system, and it can get expensive, but just well worth it when it comes to your overall health. We're talking water, folks. Okay. Second most important element you're putting in your body. And if you're bathing with it, you're absorbing it. Okay, so I definitely would encourage you to think about that. So let's get into the tips a little bit. I got like 3 tips. Okay, first tip, drink more water. Okay, so I got 4 tips. So how do we do this? I'll just, for me, I believe the best way is to get your favorite container. Find your container, find your happy container for water and carry it around. I have a ½ gallon container. It's huge. People always comment, that's a lot of water. It's ½ gallon because I don't want to keep having to fill it up. But when I have this container, I know how much water I'm drinking. I know when I finish that, I've gotten at least a ½ gallon in me and I need to fill it up again. I try to get close to a gallon of water a day. And if I don't have that container, I'm nowhere near a gallon a day. So having a container so you know what that container, how many ounces in that container, and you drink it, it doesn't work unless you drink it, then you're on top of how much water you're intaking for the day. It's probably my #1 tip. Find a container that works for you. Try to stay away from plastic. Plastic is not good. I don't care what anybody says. All plastics eventually leak. And we now know that plastic is a carcinogen and a hormonal disruptor. Okay? There's enough tests and studies out there to explain that to you. If you have plastic, if that's what you're using, then try to stay away from washing it with ultra hot water like the dishwasher. Heat breaks down the barrier. It will leak in your water, and you just don't want that. Find yourself stainless steel or glass. Which leads me to another tip, is using a straw. Okay? Not plastic if you can. They sell metal straws nowadays. If you're a person who's at the desk many hours, get yourself a strawed container. I don't know what it is. I do know what it is. We're lazy. Something about having that container there with the straw sticking out. You can just go like, you can even put it like real close up here. You just have to go like that. You know what I mean? Something about that. People drink more water. So that's a really good tip. I've heard it work for many people, having a strawed container on their desk if they spend a lot of time at their desk. Try to stay away from drinking water late in the day, or at least a lot of water late in the day. It'll interfere with that same rest and restore process that's happening while you sleep. One, it's going to have you getting up to pee, so it's disturbing your sleep. But also, all the organs have their cycles when they go into repair mode while you sleep, and kidneys being one of them. If you got water in you, it's busy processing the water as opposed to doing, what it really wants to do, and that's repairing itself or replenishing itself. So yeah, try to get your water in earlier in the day. Drinking first thing in the morning is a very good choice. A lot of us we're heading straight to the coffee machine. If we're not human until we have that coffee. Beep, beep, beep. While you're waiting for that coffee to brew, get yourself a nice tall glass, drink water, pound a glass of water, put a lemon in it. So not only are you hydrating yourself, because you are waking up dehydrated, but you're also in a little bit of an acidic state, and then you're drinking the coffee. Coffee is very acidic. So you're compounding that acid level by lemon or alkaline water. Problem solved. If anyone out there has a tip that worked well for them, I'd love to hear it. That would be extremely helpful. I hope these tips in this video helped you. You'd be surprised. All it takes is a couple of days of being well hydrated. You would definitely feel the difference. Like I said, we're incredible adapting machines. We get used to stuff easy. And being used to being dehydrated, those symptoms, we ain't gotta live like that. So get some water in you on a regular basis. Look out for my next video. I'm gonna get that out as soon as I can on stretching. The combination of being well hydrated and stretching, 1-2 punch, baby. You're gonna love it. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys. Bye.